He went in the north ditch, smoked the telephone pole, sheared that son of a bitch clean off.
So no, I'm not a sheepdog. I'm not going to jump into every single situation where something might be going wrong.
We had a fire call the other day. It started out as a pretty typical run-of-the-mill one. It was like 4:30 in the morning. Fire page. Oh, I think I told you about this, but the pager went off and it was like down power line, C70. We're like, yeah. So I rolled over. Because, I mean, that's a super boring call. It doesn't take many people to handle it. But then I was like, you know what? Everybody else in the department's going to do the same thing. So I got up, went anyways. So there was like 6 of us went out there, I think. A couple grass rigs and engine 2. So we get out there, and me and Cody, the assistant chief, are sitting like half a mile away just running traffic, you know, because there's a lot of traffic at 4:30 in the morning. It was pretty eventful. So, and then the chief radios us. He's like, hey, why don't you guys come up here? We got a bit of an issue. Well, what happened was a freaking truck, he was headed towards Kingsley on C70, swerved into the north ditch, and these were steep ditches, dude. Like, I don't know how he didn't roll it. He went into the north ditch, smoked the telephone pole, sheared that son of a bitch clean off. And usually when you hit a telephone pole, it stops. You know, he's lucky, and it sheared off. So then he swerved back up onto the road, must have ramped it up onto the road, and there's a whole, like, oil slick all the way across the road because obviously he was leaking oil real bad. Went into the south ditch, ramped it up into the field, went through the barbed wire fence, then drove like a couple hundred yards, went through another fence down into this other field, and then it looked like he stopped and threw some shit out, or his door opened and he felt some stuff fell out. But up on the road, there was his door panel, like the inside of his door panel, headlights, grills, all sorts of shit. Once we got there, the cops were there, and this dude stumbles out of the field, just drunk as a skunk. Didn't know anything. Didn't know where his truck was, if anyone was with him, anything. So we're looking for his truck because he was beat up. You know, he had a big gash in his head or whatnot. And so we're looking for his truck, trying to find it to see if there's anyone else in it, you know, if he piled it into a creek bed or something like that. And it took us a freaking hour and a half to find that damn truck because he drove it the way that he was heading. He ended up turning around and going back the other way, several miles up that way. So it took us forever to find the damn thing. And it was obviously like he took a telephone pole right in the damn near right smack dab in the middle of the grill, you know. Son of a bitch. So it was all she could do to keep going. I'm sure the engine seized up or whatever is once he got to that point.
So he was driving through the field for the rest of the time until he got to where he stopped, or he got back on the road? And
he was in the field. He was trying to find a way to get out, but he didn't. And if he would have kept going another like half mile, there was a field entrance there that he could have got out of, but his truck died before then.
So were you following his tracks or what?
No,
we couldn't.
We couldn't. It was freshly harvested, so there was tracks all over the place and everything. And we could track. It was funny. We were tracking the oil for a while, you know. But I've never tracked a truck before. But that was fun, hoofing it through the field and
sniffing corn stalks. Yeah. This is fresh oil.
But and this was a Monday or Tuesday night, I think it was. It's like, bro, how are you so blindingly drunk on a Tuesday night or whatever? 4:35 in the morning. Like, what are you doing with your life, man?
What does his truck look like? Was it demolished?
It's pretty bad. I mean, it's totaled, obviously, but
was the roof all?
The roof wasn't jacked up that I noticed. Just everything. It was the front end was like a V, obviously.
How does that work? I'm so confused. How do you? I assume he hit like the telephone pole at the bottom of it. He wasn't airborne or anything when he went through this telephone pole.
I don't believe so. No.
Ramped off the road and went through a telephone pole.
I don't believe so. No.
That makes it even more impressive. I mean, it's one thing to shear off a telephone pole halfway up, but at the
bottom,
at
the base, he had to have been hauling ass. Like that's he was going so damn fast that he just right through there. I don't know. He's lucky he was in a truck and not a little car though, and just wrapped it up around there.
Yeah,
and killed him. A very good possibility it would have. I mean, yeah. So that was a rather boring fire call that turned into a rather interesting one.
Yeah.
Good times.
I'm just wondering, like, how do you hit a telephone pole that hard?
You drink,
and still fucking keep driving.
You drink 3/4 of a bottle of tequila before you attempt it.
I think it'd take more than that. Jesus.
Yeah, I've never been to that point where like
I'd probably have to pass out once and then keep drinking and then.
I've just never been to that point where, like, if I, made the stupid decision to be driving, like, I didn't know if even anybody was with me or,
I wonder if he was asleep or something at that point.
That's
fell asleep and his foot just got stomped down on the gas, and
that's a possibility. A very good possibility.
Then he just slowly woke up after he drove through a telephone pole.
I would expect the telephone pole would wake a fella up pretty quick.
You would think.
The stuff you run into. Have you seen
literally
telephone poles? Have you seen that? I already know the answer to it, but that movie Gray Man with the guy from The Notebook. What's his name?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't know the actors of The Notebook, Sam. You know it. Don't act like you don't.
Ryan Gosling. That's who it is.
Yeah.
So Ryan Gosling, he plays. Have you ever seen The Notebook?
I don't know. If I did, I think it was probably like, I don't think it was all of it. It was probably like, I think up at Creers, I remember like being like just sitting down in the basement or whatever, and Alyssa was probably watching it.
Yeah, that could be.
But no, I've never watched it alone by myself in my living room.
Yeah, whatever. You know it word for word.
It's not on my Roku home screen.
Riveting movie. Well, anyway, the actor from that, Ryan Gosling, he plays this movie that came out. I believe it came out this year. It was on Netflix. I think it was Netflix or Prime. I don't know. Either way, I saw it online somewhere, called Gray Man. It's just kind of an action movie. But the premise of the movie is they train this guy to be the Gray Man or whatever. But he is, in the movie, he's anything but. Like, everywhere he goes, like, it just turns into this giant shit fest, like cars blowing up and, buildings being demolished and all that. Like, it is the epitome of what a Gray Man isn't. It's like, it's a good movie. It's entertaining, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have really anything to do with being a Gray Man.
So he didn't really take his training very well. Huh?
Very, very seriously. I guess I don't know. But, the premise of the movie is, these guys go in unnoticed, commit assassinations or whatever, and get out unnoticed. So that's the premise of it, but it never works that way. But what would you say is like, I think Gray Man has become a big buzzword in the last few years, like in the 2A community. What would you say the definition of a Gray Man is?
Not drawing attention to yourself, being perceived as something that you're not, and how you're
and being prepared to defend yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
I would say it has a lot more to do with there's a lot to do with appearance, right? But it also, the prepared aspect of it,
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, I would say that'd be a good way to look at it. Well, like I said, it has become a very big buzzword. Don't you agree?
I don't know about buzzword. I don't really see it that very often, but I can see why you would think that, yeah. People use it how they shouldn't, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Or don't.
Do you think it's stupid for someone to be like, well, I'm going to be the Gray Man, or, kind of like, you know what I mean? Do you think that's kind of a ridiculous thing to go after? Or do you think it has some merit?
Well, of course I would think it has some merit. There's people that want to be all tactical and shit, but I don't know. You're going to have to elaborate on your question.
Well, I just mean, like, it just seems to me like, it just seems almost cliche, almost like, oh, I want to be like John Wick, just the thing that you're aspiring to just because you've seen it in movies and you've seen it, it seems cool to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you think it actually has some merit to it and a wise way to carry yourself, a wise thing to aspire to.
Do you not think it has merit?
I do. I think the the way to act and the way to dress and the stuff like that absolutely has merit. But I think, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just, to me, someone comes up to me and says, hey, I'm trying to be the Gray Man. It's like, well, it's weird,
you're not being very good at it if you're announcing that you're
Absolutely.
a gray man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe it's, like I said, I don't really see it around discussed that often, but maybe people will kind of take to it like people have taken to the word tactical. Like it's cool to be the gray man, but they're doing the total opposite by trying too hard by buying all this stuff with tactical in the name and wearing it like 511 pants that are 511 tactical pants that have it plastered all over, and everyone knows that they're 511 tactical pants. They're like, no, it says they're gonna make me blend in, so they work. Well, everyone knows that, so no, they don't make you blend in.
Do you think the average person knows what 511 is? I mean, as a, do you think they know that they're a tactical company?
I think it's a popular enough company and name. I wouldn't say average, but I would say it's popular enough that it's not doing what they want it to do.
It would be, and that's the other thing. Like, it's not so much the average person, because the average person usually has their nose buried in their phone and they're not paying attention to anybody around them. And it's not really them that you got to be concerned with. It would be the people, the predators, or the people, other people like you, that would see that and it would immediately scream tactical to them.
I don't know, because 511 Tactical, they make a lot of other products as well, too. I forget some of them. I was watching a video earlier. Somebody mentioned what else they made. They manufacture other shit, too, that a lot of just normal things that normal people will wear, too.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. But I do think, like, tactical-looking pants, I mean, that's probably not the best choice if you're out in public and you're trying to blend in as a non-combatant, non-threat to anyone. I wouldn't think that.
Well, that kind of depends on where you are, though, too. It's not. Your environment will dictate it as well. I mean, you'd blend in pretty well at SHOT Show.
Oh, yeah. But, like, say, a concert or something like that. Or a day at the park. Something like that, maybe. And that's the other thing. Like, I bought this LA police gear backpack, and it's got this tiny little thing right here, this little patch, and can you read that from there? Mm-hmm. LAPG. But I would say the average person wouldn't have a freaking clue what LAPG means. And there was a lot of people there's a post that they put on Facebook, like, oh, why'd you have to put a big badge on the back of it? It says LAPG. Like, ain't nobody knows. Like, the average person is not going to know what LAPG means. Hell, I wouldn't. If I didn't buy the bag, I know what LA police gear is, but I never seen those letters really. It's not a big enough company that you have, like, that's something to worry about really, I don't think. But, there were a lot of guys bitching about that in the comments. But I was like, well, freaking put a patch over it, if that's really that big of an issue to you, put a JanSport patch over the top of it or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not big on that kind of stuff, I guess. And that's more of just a regular dude. Wants to look like a regular dude, I guess.
Well, yeah, you're not like a really tactical guy.
I'm not big into the gear and shit.
See, I am.
And I don't want to be.
I love the
scene.
I love the gear and stuff like that. But I'm not. I also dress really non-tactical. I mean, I got jeans and this is my average garb: jeans and just a sweatshirt and cowboy boots. I mean, that's like the most untactical. Not a very tactical setup, but that's what I live my life in, So I don't have to really attempt to blend in because I pretty much do everywhere.
Well, it's not always about it being tactical stuff too. It can be about, like, what's that patch on your arm? What's that? Oh, okay, never mind. I thought that was something else. But you do, like, most of your apparel has something about freedom or firearms or something about that, like your hats.
Yeah, but nobody knows what Shy Works is.
Yeah, that's true.
And most people, I guess, one of my favorite sweatshirts is a Kilroy Arms. Yeah, and that would be kind of a giveaway, I guess, because it says arms on it, and the average person would recognize that, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I think people are making out I think people are making it out to be something that it's too important to them. Like, just don't freaking dress like a tactical Timmy, and I think you'll be fine. You know, like a while back we were in Denver, and I think I might have mentioned this on the podcast. Like, we walked in, there was myself and another guy and our two girlfriends, and we walk into the bar, and they look in both of their purses, and just looked me up and down. It's like, hey man, how's it going? Let me in. Well, I got a freaking a Glock 43 in my waistband. I was like, how do you think that a woman's going to be carrying, and you're not checking any of the guys? Like, to me, that was like, that doesn't make any sense, you know? And that's just a person, I think, doing their job and not really thinking, using their, you know, using their head. They're just being told what they're supposed to do. But that cracked me up, because it was like, you know, I mean, didn't make any sense to me.
What was it when we went to that hockey game that we were
worried about carrying?
Yeah. We were told that they had metal detectors there, so we had to lock our guns up in the car, and then we walked in, and we 100% could have got in without
right. Yeah.
Or carrying, I guess.
Yeah.
They did wand us, I think.
Did they?
Or didn't they? Maybe they didn't. No, they didn't.
I don't think so.
I think they just made us like hold up our fucking whatever we had in our pockets.
Oh, and walk through. There was a metal detector, but
yeah, but they didn't make us set the things in our pockets down. So we had our phones and keys and stuff in our hand as we walked through the metal detector, and it went off.
Right, and they're just like, yeah, whatever.
And they were like, okay, well, that's all you have on you. I'm not sure what that
was accomplished. I thought too that that's something like just appearing as appearing docile and a non-combatant, non-threatening or whatever, when there are laws and venues and stuff that are restricting you from carrying. I mean, that's a good way to do it. I mean, because if you walk in to a venue and you look like a tactical Timmy and you're wearing a freaking NRA shirt and cargo pants or whatever, they're probably going to suspect you a little bit more than the average Joe Schmo wearing a freaking 9 Inch Nails t-shirt and sweatpants or whatever it is. So I mean, I think that's one area where that could be slightly important, maybe. So like your behavior and the way you act, I mean, that's a big part of being the gray man too, I would think.
I don't know, because there's always the aspect about making yourself a hard target as well, rather than acting or walking around like you're harmless.
Yeah, that's true.
And that part of it as well.
I think a lot of that has to do with how you carry yourself.
Oh yes, that's pretty much what it is.
And whether you have, your face buried in your phone, or you're actually aware of your surroundings and you're walking confidently, or if you have your shoulders down, and you're walking in a way that's, you're not carrying yourself in a confident way, you would be viewed as a much easier target than, someone that's walking around confidently, I suppose. And another buzzword that I don't really particularly like is sheepdog.
I've never really been a huge fan of that one either.
What do you think what's like the definition you would say of sheep being a sheepdog?
The people that are fans of the term seem to call themselves the protector of everyone else, of the people that don't carry and aren't part of the firearm world or the self-defense world and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, it's kind of a I don't know the right word. Maybe narcissistic is the only word that I can come up with. It's like I'm more capable than you, and you're not capable of protecting yourself. It's kind of viewing yourself as better than the rest of the people.
Wouldn't you say, though, that 99% of the people in America are not capable of protecting themselves and are ignorant and not prepared to defend their life?
Probably. I wouldn't probably not 90%, but
I would say like, yeah. And to be clear, a sheepdog is a person that carries a gun and with the intent to protect and serve those around him, essentially. Is going to dive into any situation, regardless of his own safety, because he feels like that's his job. It's to defend someone else.
Well, there's the part of it as well from the book that we were reading, Violence of Mind, talking about mission.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, I mean, like my mission is to get home safe.
Right.
And protect my family and my loved ones. So no, I'm not a sheepdog. I'm not going to jump into every single situation where something might be going wrong. Can it be the honorable thing to do? Sure. But I'm also putting myself and my family and friends in danger when I do that. I mean, of course, there's a million different situations that we could apply here, and it's not always the case. But if my mission is to get home safely and protect my family and my loved ones, I'm not a sheepdog, because I'm not going to jump into every single situation unless it furthers my mission.
Yeah, we were just talking about this last night, actually. And the book he's referring to is Varg Freeborn, called Violence of Mind. If you're interested in it, go to our website and join the forum and the Discord and everything. We got a book club that we're reading that book in. And he's talking about the mission, like before you start carrying, it's talking about defining your mission. And that book is really actually eye-opening for me, because I don't think that is my particular mission, is to only get home safe. Like, I do appreciate that there are a lot of times where it's the best is to not to intervene. And in that particular book, he's talking about he was in a did this situation actually happen about the pedophile clerk? Did that actually happen, or was that?
That's how I understood it.
So he was in a convenience store and it got held up, whatever, and the guy ended up getting away. I don't think he intervened or he wasn't there at that particular time. That's what it was. But if he would have been in that store and he intervened and he ended up shooting the robber or whatever, well, it came out later down the road that clerk that he would have been defending the life of was a pedophile and had a bunch of child porn and all this.
Well,
shit
yeah, the story was that the clerk, the pedophile, had assaulted the shooter's daughter or whatever.
Right. So the moral of that story is you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what was going on previously in that situation. So it might look cut and dried to you, but I think ultimately he's right, and this kind of really opens a lot of people's eyes. Is you don't know, so you stay the hell out of it, because I mean, if you do take a life and you defend that person, you're going to have all this headache of legal troubles and all this stuff. And for what? That person could have been, a horrible freaking person. So that was really eye-opening for me from that book. And the other thing it talks about is just staying out of violent situations altogether. Like, and I was telling my girlfriend last night, like, what if we're walking, just walking out of this particular restaurant and some dude slaps her ass or whatever? Like, me, inside of me, it's about honor and respect and pride for me, so I would confront the guy. But it talks about in this book, like, you don't know how far that person is willing to go. Like, are you willing to kill to defend that honor and that respect? Because that person that you confront, he very well may be. So if he's willing to go there and you're not willing to go there, you're going to lose that fight. Really, I mean, that was really eye-opening for me, and like kind of hurt my pride a little bit, like realizing that, wow, that's very, very real. So that's hard for me to wrap my head around a little bit, kind of. But back to you talk about what your mission is. I don't think my mission is the same quite as yours, because if it was me, And we were talking about, say some shooter walked into that bar, into the restaurant yesterday. Like, I don't think that I could live my life. Like, yes, I would get my loved ones out of there first. But I don't think that I could live with myself if I just walked out and was done. Just excuse myself from the situation.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I don't do either.
But that's,
I mean,
what
obviously, my life is in danger if there's a shooter in a restaurant blasting people away.
But if
I'm there,
you're right. But there was like 2 or 3 rooms in this situation in this restaurant. Like, he was in the front room, and you're not in immediate danger at that point. Obviously, you're in danger, but not immediate danger. Like, do you just recuse yourself from the situation, or do you, and I told Kendra, probably what I would do is make sure she's out the back door, get as far away as possible, and then, I don't feel like I could live with myself if I just did not engage. You know what I mean? I don't think that I could do that.
It depends on the exact situation, I suppose.
It absolutely does.
I mean, we can make up a million different situations. Yeah, I would have a hard time as well.
Yeah.
Not going in.
But and that's the thing though. Like, you have to think about those situations before they happen, because, that's a massive decision to make. Like, in opening up yourself to all those things, whether it's obviously death and extreme bodily harm, let alone legal situations and all that stuff. Like, you need to be thinking about those situations before you ever step out of your house with a gun, because you only have milliseconds to make a lot of those decisions. And if you're not thinking about them beforehand, you're probably going to make the wrong decision for yourself.
I mean, I don't like the shooter situation. I don't like making up scenarios like that, because there's so many different variables. And I don't know, it's different for me, because my mission is to get myself and my friends and my family home safe. But if I'm the only one there, it's a little bit different for me. Then, I mean, it's way easy. It'd be way easier to go in there than run away for me, because I wouldn't have anybody else my family to worry about at that point.
Right. Yeah, and that's one aspect we talked about too. Like,
like, I don't have children to get home to. So
yeah, and that changes.
I don't have to take care of anyone at this point in my life. I mean, further down the road, my answer may change to that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. That was one aspect we talked about too. Like, right now I do have a girlfriend who, and that's, you have to think about that. But say down the road, you have a wife and kids, and that's a whole nother ball game. So, but yeah, I definitely recommend reading that book, Varg Freeborn, Violence of Mind. It's really eye-opening as far as, what your true mission should be when you're carrying a firearm for self-defense. It's just not as cut and dried. Like, it seems pretty cut and dried when you strap that gun on, nice and easy. But then you think about all the other scenarios and situations that may goes down. It's kind of pretty eye-opening.
95% of people who carry have a situation in mind of how it's going to go down if they do ever have to use their firearm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always the ideal scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the shooter is going to have his back turned or something, or I'm just going to pull it out and pop him one in the face, and it's going to be over. It's not going to happen like that. I'm sorry, but
right.
It's not how things go down. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be what you think it is. And you're not as good of a shooter as you think you are.
Yeah, a lot of those situations, like if you go on and you Google and you read the news articles that talk about the actual, self-defense shootings and stuff like that, it's always messy. There's always extenuating circumstances, and there's always, a lot of times the shooter gets killed or injured, or and it's just not as cut and dried as you really think it's going to be. No, it seems like it's never that way almost. You hear this once in a lifetime stories of the preferred shooting or self-defense shooting, but those rarely ever happen.
And it's those same people too that haven't actually pondered what life is going to be like after they take a life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, you're going to have to deal with the legal aspect of it. You're going to have to deal with the mental aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what evidence do you have that you can mentally handle taking someone's life? What makes you believe that you're strong enough to do that? Killing a deer ain't like killing a person. So why do you believe that, I'm just going to shoot that dude in the face and go on with life and I'm going to be totally fine? No, probably not. I believe that's probably going to fuck you up pretty bad.
What do you think about, and we've talked about this many times on the show, but isn't there a lot of self-defense insurance that I think some of those include
Therapy?
Therapists with them? I think that's probably a fairly important aspect. And I've been saying I need to get that for years, and I do. I just, you know me, I'm just.
You should probably quit saying that on the podcast.
procrastinator.
I should do that. Yeah, everybody get it, but I'm just gonna keep putting it off.
Well, if anybody listens to this podcast, they know that I'm a raging procrastinator. So,
and we're hypocrites.
Yeah,
do as we say, not as we do.
That's right.
Actually, don't do as we say. We don't know fucking anything.
I don't know. You have any closing thoughts on being a gray man box?
I didn't even know that was what we were still talking about. We kind of moved on from that.
Well, to the sheepdog, yeah. The overreaching aspect is still the same.
Not really. What else do we got?
Not a whole lot. I think it's gonna be a pretty short episode today. Actually, it's a Sunday. It's about afternoon right now.
I got half a drink left. We got to come up with something.
The freaking clocks just changed, which
I didn't even realize that until I woke up at 7:00 this morning, and I was like, "Why am I awake right now? And why do I not want to go back to bed? Something's up."
I hate that. I freaking hate it. Dumbest thing in the world. Like, the reason why daylight savings time came to be.
Farmers.
Absolutely. It was because farmers didn't have enough daylight during the day to plant their crops and harvest their crops and do all the things that they needed to do. So they were like, oh, hey, how about if we make daylight savings time during the summer, it extends longer, so it's laid out longer. Brilliant idea. Okay, great. That seems wonderful. Well, now nobody needs that. They don't need... The farmers they can light up the whole freaking fields. They don't need, daylight savings times does not serve a purpose anymore other than to piss everybody off.
I was reading this morning too that I think it was in March that the House or whatever passed a resolution to have daylight savings time be permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was reading about the why it should be the opposite of that, where we should just cancel daylight savings time, or it should be this time all year long. And they say it's way better for the body and the mind, and there's like science-backed evidence to say that.
How is it better in any way?
Because your body never fully adjusts to daylight savings time.
I adjust wonderfully. It's awesome. Daylight savings.
I don't know.
I
felt a whole lot fucking better. What do you mean daylight savings time rolls around? Then you got to adjust your sleep back an hour.
Yeah, but it's light an hour later. Everybody, that's the best part. Like, we don't live in Alaska, man. I don't want this getting dark at 5:30 shit.
And another part of it was children have to go to school in the dark. I saw something about Florida. Florida actually already passed it. Something about this, but it doesn't go into effect unless it's passed federally.
Mm-hmm.
Which, why the fuck would you pass it on a state level if it gets changed federally? Anyways, I don't know. I don't understand that. But they did that because there was children like getting hit by cars and stuff in the morning on their way to school while it was still dark.
It's never dark. What time does the sun come up? It's not dark around 8 o'clock.
Well, they're going to school earlier than 8 o'clock.
I suppose. Yeah, well, our school always started at 8:30. Yeah. To your point about being better for you, like, scientifically speaking, it is better if you wake up and it's light out. There is a bunch of benefits actually to exposing your eyes and your body to actual sunlight. It does help wake you up a lot better, and there are a lot of health benefits to it. I can see that. I just don't like it. I don't like the fact that there's nothing worse.
I mean, what's the fucking difference? It gets dark at 9 o'clock or it gets dark at 10 o'clock. I don't give a fuck if it gets dark at 9 o'clock in the summer.
Yeah, but it gets dark at like 5 o'clock right now.
So?
I hate that.
It's cold outside. I don't want to be outside in the evening anyways. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but I guess I'm outside a lot more than most people is. But
dude, you work at your house in a garage. Why are you outside more than most people?
I spend a lot of time outdoors and stuff.
In the winter?
I grill all winter. I walk around, back and forth to the girls all winter, and yeah, absolutely. I spend a decent amount of time outside still. But I would be 100% for making daylight savings time permanent, and I'm sure there's other viewpoints, but they're stupid.
Well, part of it is, I don't know much about. They say it screws up your circadian rhythm. I don't know what
your sleep cycle.
Well, yeah. They say you never really fully adjust to daylight savings time. But then I got to thinking, well, we're switching that twice a year. So
that's
what
why
happens
we don't adjust.
what happens if it's permanent? Do we eventually adjust then? And do these health benefits circle over to
I would say
time? So I don't know.
I would say they absolutely have to. I don't see how they couldn't, because over a long enough period of time, of course you're going to adjust to something. But when does it switch back? Like in April or March, April, sometime?
It's got to be March. I don't know.
I just never been a fan. I've always hated non-daylight savings time.
March 13th.
March 13th.
Wow, I was right about something. Wow.
No, that rarely happens. So we got a 3D printed frame sitting on the, if you're watching the video, I brought this to show box. That is just a Glock 19 Gen 3 style printed frame that I have a cheap printer. I think I spent like $225 for that thing.
Hold it up in front of your face. They'll be able to see it better.
Right here.
Farther back. That's how to focus there.
How about here?
Right there. There you go. Nailed it.
But this is just it's modeled after the Strike Industries frame, kind of looks similar to it. And this is just a color film one I had, so I'll probably print some black. But I'm really excited about this. It's a freaking cheap printer, $225, and it puts out like super stupid good quality. I mean, you got to spend some time tuning in and learning how to use it. But I hereby declare gun control pretty much dead at this point. I mean, because it's getting to the point where now, I mean, you can say this would probably last several hundred rounds, I would assume. I got obviously a lot of testing to do with it yet. But there are a lot of people getting several hundred rounds out of them, up to over 1,000 rounds. So, say you put in, a few hundred rounds in this. Oh, okay, it's getting kind of used. Let me print another one it cost me like $3.76 to print this or something like that. So just have another one printed, and you can just say this thing does finally bust. Take all the friggin' parts kit out of it, throw it in the other one, bam, you're good to go again. And there's the technology just keeps advancing at such a rate. Like, imagine where we're going to be in 10 years.
That's on like a beginner level 3D printer.
Oh yeah, the Ender 3 V2. This is like the entry level printer that a lot of people recommend for you to get. So it's just think where we're going to be in 10 years with like resin and filament technology. Like, it's advancing.
We'll print that in 5 minutes.
This particular one, because I printed it such a, I guess, high resolution, low line width or whatever. But this one took 19 hours to print, I think. My other one printed in about 12. But there's a printer out right now that would print this in probably half to a third of the time. The Bamboo Labs Carbon X1. People are just starting to receive them now, so I'm going to wait a little while before I snag that one. But I'm pretty excited where the technology is going, because eventually it's going to get to the point where those, like, you're talking about nylon with carbon fiber. Eventually, we're going to get very close to filaments and resins being as strong as injection molded, or very close to as strong as injection molded parts.
And I don't think we're that far out from having at-home metal 3D printers.
No, we're not.
So we're going to be able to fucking build anything and everything. I mean, probably not barrels or something like that, but
there's actually ways that you can make rifled barrels at home. They're very rudimentary, but the technology is there.
Does it have something to do with electricity?
Yes.
I think I've seen something about that.
And I haven't looked in how it actually works, but there's some very smart people like developing this stuff that's crazy, the kind of stuff that you can build right at home. So, another 10 years and it's going to be like, but the thing that just blows my mind is, according to the law, this thing that I printed in my own home, press go, and it spewed it out, is a firearm, and it's illegal for some people to possess this, and in some states this is completely illegal. Like, how much sense does that make? Like, so it's to the point now where a firearm is readily accessible you can literally print whatever you want. Oh, well, you can't do this. You can't print this in your own home. It's like, how far are those laws gonna take us? Like, what are the they're useless at this point, wouldn't you say? I mean, relatively.
They've always been useless.
Well, absolutely. But this makes them, I would say, even more so, to the point where they're just laughable. It's just a laughing stock anymore.
Technology is just going to speed up the government's need for power.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
The faster technology advances, the more government is like, we got to control that.
Yeah. They're going to try, but I don't think that with decentralized technology and stuff going on, there's no way for them to control the files. There's no way for them to truly control the information. I mean, they can try. They can make it illegal to, what's the word they use? Disseminate this information. Why the hell is seminate? Like, why does that mean? Oh, I get it. Okay.
No, now it clicks, huh, Sam?
Now it clicks. Okay. Never mind.
Excuse my friend. He's a little slow.
I understand what that term means. Okay. It took me a hot minute there, but yeah, I mean, they're gonna, like, did you see Ghost Gunner just released a new new version of their GS3, their Ghost Gunner?
Just now or a while back? I remember we talked about it.
Well, this is the same one, but this isn't updated. They flashed the firmware or whatever, updated, so you can do a lot more. Like, you can do RMR cuts and stuff on your Glocks and stuff like that, and it's more open source, so you can put in, pretty much mill whatever you want out of it. And now they're targeting gun shops, and I got an email from them the other day, actually, looking to get people like me those things, so I can do like RMR cuts right there in the shop and stuff like that. So the technology on those is getting scary good too.
Are you gonna do that?
Probably not. I think I'm actually gonna spend probably about twice the amount, I think, and get a actual full scale CNC. That's, anyway, I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but that's kind of my plan right now. So, but even that little that desktop CNC, this kind of stuff you can do, you can mill 1911 frames and all sorts of AR frames and stuff. Just crazy amounts of badass shit. You remember a while back we talked about that Ghost Gunner thing, that it would mill out the lower, and then there was the buffer tube attachment, and then the lower part too. You bought those two pieces and then you bolted it onto your...
Vaguely.
Okay, so you can buy those buffer tube pieces. It's just the back end of that buffer tube where the buffer tube, the receiver extension, screws into. You can buy those, and then you can print the rest of the AR receiver and bolt that buffer tube piece on there, because that's always been the weak point of 3D printed AR parts, is the buffer tube extension or the receiver extension. So I'm gonna order one of those and print me up a AR lower and see how that works. And who knows? I mean, that might there's still going to be a weak point in there at some point, somewhere, where it bolts on or something. But pretty freaking cool. I'm pretty excited about that too. there's a Cerakote just sent out a email the other day, and I might have mentioned this to you about 3D printing and Cerakoting parts. And there's a I think it's this upcoming week, there's a online webinar that they're putting on about it. So I'm gonna tune into that and see exactly what the heck they're doing in that aspect of it too. I'm not sure what they're up to, but kind of interesting. I love 3D printing and Cerakote, and if I could combine the two, heck yeah, kind of excited about that. So
I wonder what that could be.
Well, there's a lot of 3D printed parts like that aren't necessarily UV stable, or something, or so if they're left out in the sunlight, they decompose.
So
a
you
little
coat
bit.
them in something that is UV stable?
Right, like H series and typical stuff that they put on guns is not, but the C series is a lot more UV stable. So I assume that that's what they're doing. Then also you don't have to put that in an oven. It's just air gear or whatever. So I'd assume that's kind of what they're up to. But then it also has aspects of Cerakote has some abrasion resistance, and it's very slick. So that could help in some aspects of it too, if it's an intermingling part with another one or something like that. So I don't know. I'll report back on what exactly it is they're doing, but I'm kind of intrigued on that whole aspect of things as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, Box, I ain't got a whole lot else to chat about on this here podcast. So we're going to talk about a couple other topics that are pretty interesting. So we're going to get some more information on those, though, and I think next time maybe we'll chat about those things. So we'll have some good ones coming up. I'm kind of excited about. So yeah, if you enjoy what we're doing, make sure you go to Life Short Live Free and join the forum and the Discord as well. Or you can download the whole app. We have a LSLF app. Go to the Google Play Store and search for Freedom Gospel or LSLF, and that'll take you right to our app. You can join the forum, the Discord, the Facebook group, surf our website, and all sorts of good stuff right from the app right there. Listen to the podcast, watch our videos. So make sure you go and do that. And if you are enjoying it, make sure you share it with your friends. We always greatly appreciate that. So make sure you're checking out our sponsors, Ballistic Imagery, ballisticimagery.com, as well as Shyworks at shyworks.com. They're both on Facebook as well, so go and check them out. And lastly, once again, if you enjoy what we do, go to subscribestar.com, search Life Short Live Free, and you can contribute to the podcast for less than a cup of coffee per episode, and you do get goodies and returns on that stuff, so make sure you're going and checking that out. Box, anything to add in closing?
The app is the only place that you can join the Discord app, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only place the invite link is posted, and you can't find it without downloading the app. So, and the Discord is way more active than any other platform that we have.
Yeah, and also it's only an Android app because iPhone is a shitload more difficult and expensive. So if you do want to be part of the Discord, let us know. We'll send you the link if you're on an iPhone, and you can still join that way. So, anyways, guys, we appreciate you sticking around. Till we talk to you next time, remember, life short, live free, and God bless. And God bless the United States of America.
Defund the ATF.
Repeal the NFA.